Okay, so I'm trying to think of the right way to start this one. And I guess the best way is just to say, happy opening night, everybody. Or may the preseason rest in peace. It is October the 21st, 2025, and NBA action begins about 8 hours from right this moment. I'm Dan Vespris. This is Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. Find me on social media at Dan Vespris, DanBesbris, and Old Man Squad on social media. Please subscribe because we are going to be doing about 10 shows a week during the regular season. Nightly recaps, that's everybody's most important one. Those are your ads and drops every single day. We'll have buys, we'll have sells, we'll have stashes, we'll have amazing guest episodes, we'll have Q&As, we'll have all these other things I wrote down somewhere, and I can't remember where I put them down, but I'll find it, and all my in-season ideas will come flooding back to me. This show is going to be sort of like an homage, as it were, pay homage to the preseason, because we are going to go lightning round style on my favorites and least favorites from every single round of fantasy drafts from top to bottom. We're going through like 150 names on this show, but seriously, like this is going to be a 20-minute episode because we're not going to spend more than a few seconds on each individual player. Many of them I have no opinion on, which I think is actually fair. Like Victor Wembanyama going 2, I have no opinion on that. That's fine. That seems fine. So it's fine, guys. We're going to blitz through. I have 4 tiers of ranking for this show, which is, by the way, not that many. It sounded like a lot when I said it out loud, but it's not that many. There are players that I have no opinion on, as I just mentioned. There are players that I like a little bit. There are players that I like a medium amount, and players that I like a lot of it. And the 4th tier, of course, is guys that I wouldn't touch anywhere near where they're going, kind of like a bust list. So let's dive into this stuff immediately. Want to make this as big as humanly possible for those that are watching on the YouTubes, while I once again request you guys like and subscribe. And let's just get going. Let's get through all these things on today's show. You guys can see, some of you might be drafting today. I doubt many of you are, but if you are drafting the morning of the start of the season, this will be useful for that. For everybody else, this will be useful when you compare back later on. You can see how many guys you got that I like. You can see we can use this show as a reference point down the line. Who did Dan like earlier in the year? And of course, you can get access to all of this stuff. This free Google Sheet is in the show description. Everything in the show description is free and useful for you guys. Please take advantage of that. Nikola Jokic at number 1 is a guy I like a lot, which seems insane, but it's just my way of saying don't do something nuts. Just take Jokic at number 1. Wemby and Luka Doncic at 2 and 3 seem totally fine. Shea I actually like a lot at 4. When we talk about my teams over the course of this year, you're going to notice that I have a lot of Shea Gilgeous-Alexander because I took him oftentimes at 2, 3, and 4 in my drafts this year. Like if I was second, I took him over Wemby in some spots, roto spots in particular. But I thought that was kind of interesting. I got a lot of Shea this season. Like a lot of Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Get ready for it. Get ready for it to be me talking about how to pair with Shea on almost every one of these episodes that we do. But I like him a lot at that spot. So I don't know. That's where we ended up. Anthony Edwards. Oh, sorry. We'll go in order. Giannis Antetokounmpo at 5 makes sense in head-to-head. I wouldn't take him there in roto. Cade, 6 is fine. Anthony Edwards, I like at 7. I think his durability is going to get him to this spot. I think he's a good pick at 7. Same with Devin Booker at 8. I think when you roll it all together, those are guys that I like a medium or a little bit. Anthony Edwards at 9, or Anthony Davis, excuse me, at 9. I got to get my head screwed on straight this morning. Anthony Davis at 9 is fine. I mean, there's a little bit of a risk there. Trae Young at 10. Head-to-head is fine. Roto, I wouldn't do it. So if I was going to color code him, he would probably be a guy I don't want. And then there's a run of guys that I just think are great. James Harden at 11, I like a lot, or a medium amount, sorry. Steph Curry at 12, I like a medium amount. Kevin Durant at 13, I like a medium amount. I just think all these old dudes are going to have really nice seasons. Any one of the 3, or possibly even all 3, could end up inside the first round per game. And so that all makes a lot of sense. Cat at 14, I like a little. I think he's being slighted perhaps a bit more than he needs to be. I do think he's a solid second rounder. Same with Tyrese Maxey, Donovan Mitchell, Jalen Johnson, Amen Thompson, Evan Mobley, all of those guys, 14 through 19. I all like a small amount. I think they're all really good picks in that range. And I would not, basically, that's my way of telling you guys, I wouldn't go dabbling with somebody beyond those dudes if they're still on the board. Alperen Sengun's a weird one because I have him as a guy I don't like at pick 20, but there's sort of more to it than that. I don't want people to just see that, oh, Dan doesn't like Alperen Sengun at 20. If you're building a punt free throw team and you think he takes a step forward, that's how maybe we could get to that marker. And straight 9 cat, I wouldn't take that plunge. But they're like, Dan, you didn't put Trae Young in red, and he's not a guy you would take there in straight 9 cat. Yeah, but with Trae, like one punt gets him to early second round. We know that's the case. You just have to be willing to punt. With Sengun, last year, a punt got him into like the 40, 50s range, and he might get a little bit better. We hope. Does that get him to 20? That feels like still a bit of a jump. I mean, the answer is maybe, but you need a lot to break right. So that's why I have him in light red here. LaMelo Ball I have in light red, not because I don't think he can be number 21, but because how can we trust this guy until he makes it through a season healthy? I do think Charlotte's going to try to win games this year because I just don't think they can tank another season without ruining their ability to re-sign anyone. But I also don't know that changes what LaMelo Ball does in terms of games played. Jalen Brunson at 22, I don't specifically know why I didn't make him light red. Brunson was number 49 last year. Nope, that's not right. He's around 49. What was the actual final number on Jalen Brunson last season? Hold on, we'll get this. I seem fully unprepared for this show. I'm flustered. Brunson was 50. That was close. It's off by 1. Oh, Lord. But the thing about Brunson is that, like, the things he does are hard to find. He's number 43 in 8 cat if you're thinking that maybe that was the thing that switched it. He's a good field goal percent, a decent free throw percent, good assists, good scoring. Like, the big man stats, a lot of guards aren't as bad at those. It's a Darius Garland affliction as well. It's a point guard who literally does nothing in the big man categories, which I guess isn't fair because his field goal percent was pretty decent last year, but like 2.9 rebounds, that's among the lowest in the NBA. 0.1 blocks is among the lowest in the NBA. So it's not just that he's a guard, it's that he is a guard. He only does guard stuff. And so that made it hard for Brunson to get up into that 20s range, even though he's piling up guard stats, 26 points, 7 assists, like good free throw, even a better field goal than expected, not that bad of a turnover number. I don't think I would take Brunson in this range. So maybe I should color code it. Sorry, Jalen, you're in red. Scotty Barnes at 23, I have no feelings on. He might get back to this point. I'm not going to do it. Josh Giddey at 24, I think is a good one. He has some nice upside built in there. Jaylen Brown at 25, I don't want. He needs to fix a lot of his percentages stuff to get there, and he's already hurt to start the year, which some other guys are as well, but don't have the history that Jaylen Brown does. Jaylen Brown misses 15 games a season every year, no matter what. And you'd rather they not be the first 15 or first couple. It's not going to be a first 15. I know Domantas Sabonis is hurt to start the year, but getting him in the third round, I think, is a steal. So I know that I'm very anti-stashing guys, but and it's a soft tissue thing, which sucks, but holy crap, how can you not take Sabonis in the third round? Jalen Williams, same general idea. He doesn't have a timetable, but they don't expect it to be all that long until he's back in there. So these are guys that, like, you're getting a nice per-game bump and getting them kind of around later because they're going to miss a couple of weeks. I'm happy with both of those guys in the third round. Pascal Siakam, that's a fine. I have no opinion there. Jamal Murray at 29 is the first guy on the board, and we talked about him on my favorites show yesterday. I really like Jamal Murray at 29. As I said on yesterday's program, he was number 18 last year, and 4 guys in front of him are out for the season. So, like, do nothing different, and Jamal Murray could be number 14 or 15 this year, contingent on Kawhi Leonard passing him in per-game rank. Chet Holmgren at 30, I like a little bit. Jaren Jackson at 31, I like a little bit. LeBron at 32, I don't like at all because sciatica is weird and it doesn't sound like he's expected to be back for a month. Bam Adebayo at 33, I like a little bit because I think his per game is going to be lower than this, but his totals is going to be higher. Derek White is the second I love him guy at 34. Almost every competitive draft I'm in, White is going inside the top 30, so just be ready for that. Franz Wagner, 35, that's fine. Trey Murphy at 36, I like a little bit. I think he could beat that number. And Austin Reeves at 37 used to be a guy I loved as one of my favorites on the board, but he's pushed so high that now I like him only a medium amount. De'Aaron Fox, meh, that's fine. Paolo Banchero at 39. Everybody can tell me I'm wrong on this one if I get it wrong, but I just don't think that I don't think there are enough 9-cat reasons to believe he can just fix everything. And I've heard the arguments from smart people that like, oh, you know, the field goal and the free throw are just going to get better because they have Desmond Bane now or something like that. I don't know that that's going to be a thing. I would think that field goal should get better. He's a wrecking ball of a human being, but if he's going to continue to jack up a bunch of threes, it might not. And the free throw, I've seen no indication that this is about to just get a bunch better. And the turnovers are going to be high. I don't know, man. I just can't go into a draft with a triple punt in mind, especially when two of the things are not correlated at all, meaning field goal and free throw. So, no. Zion at 40, he's red if you're not punting free throw. He's bright green if you are. So I left him blank. Jimmy Butler at 41, I like a little bit. Desmond Bane at 42, I like a little bit. I think those guys are little, like, safe value plays there. Kawhi at 43, I love. I can't believe that. I know he has the resting stuff, but he's coming into the year healthy. And this is a mid-first rounder. Denny Avdia at 44, I like a medium amount. I don't like that he ended the preseason injured, but I think he's going to put up some pretty big stats this year, especially once Jeremy Grant goes down, which is inevitable. Dyson Daniels, I was worried you were going to have to take in the second round. But in the fourth, I like him a small amount. Same with Ivica Zubac, who I did not like when he was going at 29. And I still didn't really like at 35. But at 46, I'm totally fine with Zoo. Brook Lopez is going to take 19, 20 minutes of Zoo's minutes per game. But Ivica's still the starter there. Brook Lopez is 100 years old. And as much as I love him and as much as he's been the face of the old man squad for a decade, the Clippers didn't bring Brook Lopez in for these guys to split minutes down the middle. Zubac is still going to get 28, 29 minutes a ball game. That's still good enough for him to be a top 60. And then if anything breaks his way, he goes a little higher than that. Kristaps Porzingis, Joel Embiid, Brandon Miller, John Morant. These guys are all fine, 47 to 50. Cooper Flagg at 51. I actually like a lot. The more I saw of Cooper, the more I like this play. And I kind of needed to see what he looked like. And I know it's weird to say this, but like I didn't care what he looked like during Summer League because those are all has-beens and barely mades and rookies. But I was curious what he looked like during the preseason because at least then you're playing against some other teams' legitimate NBA guys, and he still looks gigantic. That was the thing that jumped out to me. Like I was like, damn, Cooper Flagg is big. And so I think he's going to hit the learning curve faster than I initially thought. And so I like him a lot at 51, especially in a head-to-head league where I think he ramps up big towards the end of the year. But even in Roto, I think he probably gets there. Miles Turner at 52, I like a medium amount. I think there's a good shot. He's inside the top 50, and he just has a cool stat set. Miles Bridges, honestly, I don't like him at 53. You know what? I'm going to leave him blank because maybe he gets more efficient with a healthy Charlotte team. That's been the big issue for Bridges lately is a drop-off in efficiency. Vooch at 54, I'd like to put this one red. I will, but there's a caveat to the red, which is he's probably better than this until he gets moved or something weird happens in Chicago. So, like, let's make him back to blank again. I don't know how to color code Vooch. I'm just telling you guys I'm not drafting him because I'm worried about what the mid-season means. DeMar DeRozan at 55 is too early. DeMar DeRozan should be at 70. So he's red here, but, like, he's also falling around in almost every draft I've done. Brandon Ingram at 56. I don't know, man. He's got a little bit of that Jalen Brunson thing where it's like, I don't understand why the numbers don't say he should be ranked higher. 8-cat, he was top 50 last year, so he could get there. He's just unhealthy all the time. So you know what? I'm gonna do Brandon Ingram red because I don't want to take the risk there. Lauri Markkanen, this is too early for Markkanen for the health side, but I've also drafted him in 2 or 3 spots when he fell to 70s. So I don't know if I can color code him. Jalen Duren, I love at 58. I think he takes an awareness step forward this year and becomes a top 40 center. Darius Garland, this is where he should go at 59. Walker Kessler, I'm softening on Kessler and Markkanen on Utah because obviously they're good fantasy basketball players, and I think the Jazz might be so bad this year that they can actually get away with playing their good players. So this is about right for Kessler, and I like him a little bit. Zach LaVine, I like a little bit. Kobe White, I have to change this one because then he got ruled out for 2 weeks. Womp womp. I liked a medium amount. I thought he was going to be a really good pick in the 60s, and now I have to turn him into this is fine, but he ain't going to be there for the first 10 to 15 games. That sucks. Jared Allen, I love at 63 because he is, as we talked about with Thunder Dan, a weighted blanket, a heated blanket, whatever you want to call it. He's the heated blanket of fantasy basketball. He's just going to cruise along at a 55 clip all season long and be super healthy and durable, and it's going to be great. So love him there at 63, especially if you need a big man. Let's take a mid-show break here. We're not quite halfway through the names, but I think we are about halfway through from a time standpoint to remind you guys of all the stuff that is in the show description. And the most important right now is the Patreon. And I want to tell you guys a story for those that didn't hear it in other podcasts. But the story is when I founded Old Man Squad a year ago, my goal was in 3 years to be able to make enough through podcast ad revenue and other, whatever that other might be, now it includes Patreon, to cover my kids' childcare expenses and nothing else. So basically just can I make my job a net zero coverage around here? Meaning, can I pay the nanny? Can I make donations to the school when they ask for it? Can I sign my kids up for swim lessons and sports or whatever? And instead of just doing it all myself, meaning can I donate money to the school instead of my time? Can I pay a nanny instead of being the nanny? Can I put my kids in swim lessons instead of trying to teach them how to swim myself? All of these things are things that I was like, if I can pay for those with Old Man Squad, I'll do all this stuff for free for life. The way we're getting there is podcast growth, which is happening, which has been very cool. I just checked the audio stuff. I hadn't really been paying attention to it, and it's up 25%, which is insane. I didn't think there was any chance of that. And early in the run-up to this year, I really didn't think there was any chance of that because nobody was paying attention to fantasy basketball in August this season. And I was like, well, where is everybody? And now they are, which is incredible. And I'm just so damn happy about it. But we are a little bit off, and ad revenue tends to fluctuate based on when companies are making ad buys, how the economy is doing. And so basically the Patreon becomes $1. That's it. I set it at the lowest number for as many of you that can somehow part with $1. And that covers ad revenue peaks and valleys. Then I'll always have that sort of base where I'm like, look, it's fine. I'll just sort of will my way through this slow time or whatever, and then we'll be fine. So if we can get that Patreon up to a few hundred, and which is amazing because it's already at 160, then I can do this stuff for free forever. Patreon.com/oldmansquad. Link is in the show description. Thanks for listening to my 2-minute story. I appreciate you guys there. Free Google Sheet is in there as well. Make sure to use that throughout the season. We have the schedule grid, which I'll flash up on the screen for you guys right now. Here's the streaming calendar. That's what it looks like. It's going to tell you where all the back-to-backs are, where all the light traffic days are. I'll highlight 5 and 7. I highlight the best pathway, like a flow chart through the week. If you guys want to do ads and drops based on a preset, here's your teams to move to on a 4 ad drop week. We're also going to have the injury replacement board. It might be time for me to put guys like Trey Jones in there and figure out how many burgers they get. You guys got to see me do it. I want to go back and finish what we were talking about, but all this stuff is free in the show description. Please check it out. Fantrax also, they've been a great partner here. Our sponsorship technically ended here on opening night, but if you want to check them out, it's Old Man Squad over there as well. Fantrax.com/oldmansquad. All right, that's it. That's all the promos for the whole show. You sat through them all in one big chunk. Let's do the rest of the names. Emmanuel quickly at 64. I do not like him, Sam I am. I do not like IQ and Ham. I think there are too many bodies in Toronto for him to get back to where we wanted him to be last year. We sort of missed our chance last season. DeAndre Ayton at 65. I think he's going to be a top 50 center this year. I just need him to stay healthy, so I like him a medium amount. Tyler Hero at 66. That's too early for me because I think he's going to be a top 40 guy, which is 2 rounds of value, but I also don't want to miss a month. If I'm going to take a guy that I have to sit on for a month, they have to be more than 2 rounds ahead. Jordan Poole at 67 seems fine. Peyton Pritchard at 68, I like him as a guy that could be inside the top 60. Andrew Nemhard at 69, I like him as someone that could be inside the top 60. And I like Nemhard's stat set for punt points leagues. Maybe that's why I'm sort of like weirdly soft on Nemhard. Julius Randle at 70, that's too high for me in straight 9 cat. I think he could get there in 8. He has fixed his percentages, but he's a low defensive stats guy, and that tends to be a little bit problematic, but like he does fit the, center eligible, not great field goal percent mold that a lot of teams are hunting for, but not me. Not me. Isaiah Hartenstein at 71 is fine. I think he'll probably be around a top 70 guy, so I like him a little bit. OG Anunoby at 72, I like a lot of it. I think he's going to be inside the top 55, and I think he's undervalued. Rudy Gobert at 73, I think has a little bit of a bounce back blocks year, so I like him a medium amount. Jakob Poeltl at 74. I mean, he could be a top 50 guy this year, so I like him a lot there. Mark Williams at 75. I've now started to shy away from Mark Williams. Not that he's not going to have a great per game number this year, but the fact that he's not going to be ready to start the season does make me nervous. I'm not going to highlight him in red because I won't kill you if you take him at 75, but I wouldn't do it. Maybe I should put him in red just so we can remember. Yeah, we'll put him in red here on the show. Paul George at 76. It's still too early. Again, I've mentioned before, I do have a good, on good authority that he's trying to get back at about the end of a month. But, I mean, still, it's Paul George. So, will he? MPJ at 77, I left blank because I like him a lot here in a games cap format, and I wouldn't touch him in head-to-head. Shaden Sharp at 78, I don't like in category leagues. I love him here in points leagues. I think he's a points league sleeper, but this is a category league show. Modest Bazelis, I think, is a little too early at 79. He's the hype train guy that got overhyped, is my assessment of it. Benedict Mathurin, his rank is 80, but he's typically falling into the 90s, and I'm willing to take him in the 90s. I'm just not willing to take him at 80, so I left him blank here. Donovan Clingan, I love at 81. I think there's a real chance he could be the sleeper center of the draft this season. Try to get him where you can. Arsar Thompson, I like a medium amount at 82. The Jaden Ivey injury is one of the big reasons why. I think it just opens up more playing time for all the better players on the Pistons, and you might see Arsar as a top 50 guy with Ivey out. Christian Brown is a guy I like at 83, a little bit, not a ton. I loved him when he was going in the hundreds. Norman Powell, that's fine at 84. He may or may not be good after Hero comes back. We'll find out. Simons at 85, perfectly reasonable spot in a more of a punt field goal build. Jalen Green, I'm not drafting because he's dealing with a hammy, and I don't like his stat set anyway, so put those two things together. Mikal Bridges, I like a little bit at 87. I think he's probably going to be around number 85, but just the durability is so nice. He's the other sort of heated blanket of the fantasy basketball world. Bradley Beal at 88 is too early. I have ended up with 2 Bradley Beals in Games Cap leagues, but I got him after 115. I've never seen a guy passed over so many times as Bradley Beal at 88. He just sat there, passed him over at 88, passed him over at 100, passed him over at 112. Like every 12 picks, he just kept getting, and it got back to me at like 120, and I was like, all right, whatever. Like, I'm debating between Bradley Beal and Isaiah Jackson. Like, Isaiah Jackson might be a guy I drop 3 days into the year. I'm not going to drop Bradley Beal 3 days into the season. Shout out, by the way, I met Bradley Beal this last week at a Little League game of all places. He seemed nice. He didn't seem all that thrilled to have a little dweebo nerd like me say good luck during the season, but whatever. Like, he's got other things on his mind. He doesn't want to be bothered out in the real world. And I wouldn't either if I was famous. But I'm not. So please bother me in the real world if you see me. Still, 88 is way too early. Cam Thomas at 89. He's a punt field goal guy there. Devin Vassell at 90. I cannot make up my mind on Devin Vassell. I don't care how many times I think about it. I think I'm going to put him red while we're talking about him right now. I just don't trust the Spurs to give the right guys the minutes. And I don't know. I think the young guys might overtake him. That makes me really worried. Cam Johnson, I love at 91. I think, honestly, he could be a top 59 cat guy. Ultra low turnovers and efficiency coming out of his ears. John Collins is kind of the same story, just a very different stat set. I think he's going to be an efficiency Goliath this season. Both these guys ended up in great spots. Draymond Green at 93 is a guy I'm taking if I'm punting points. But with no Tyrese Halliburton this year, I didn't have my perfect punt points starting guy. I ended up with so much Shea that, like, I almost felt disinclined to punt points because he scores so much. Even though, by the way, Shea is not a bad punt points guy to start with because you get all your great percentages at high volume. And then from there on, like, you're probably punt points and punt threes, which you could do in head-to-head, but I wouldn't do 2 in roto. And anyway, so that means I haven't ended up with much Draymond. Alex Sarr at 94. I'm not a full believer yet. Various punt builds, he makes sense, but not a full believer yet. Suggs at 95. I don't think I would do because he's not healthy. So let's go ahead and make him red. Derek Lively at 96. Yeah, that's where he goes. CJ McCollum at 97. People are starting to get like really excited about CJ McCollum, and I can't do it, man. He's really old on a tanking team, and I know you might put up some stats early, but like he's also forgotten how to shoot late in his career. So, I don't know, man. Like, why do I want to take an old guy on a tanking team who doesn't remember how to shoot? That seems like a bad idea. So he's red. If you guys didn't put that together. Medium amount like Onyeka Okongwu. He's really close to someone I'm putting in bright green at 98. Like, I think when Kristaps is out, which is going to happen for 20 games at least, Okongwu is going to be a top 40 guy for those 20 games. And I think he's top 100 the rest of the time also. So he's probably going to be a top 75 center this year. That's not bad value at 100. Naz Reid, yeah, he's fine at 99. Josh Hart, I like at 100. I hated him at 55, but I like him at 100. A medium amount. Khalil Ware, I like him a small amount at 101. I was worried during a lot of the preseason. At some point, I think the Heat are going to have no choice but to play Ware and Bam together because they're both good. And I know they're trying other stuff, but it also feels like Spo's just going to be screwing with all these guys. So maybe don't do it. In fact, let's change him back to just a reset. No color. Tari Eason, I like a medium amount at 102. The back-to-back rest thing is the only thing keeping him from being a bright green guy. The missed games built in are a little bit obnoxious. KPJ, Reed Shepard, Andrew Wiggins, Drew Holiday. These are all fine in this range. And after 110, I'm not going to talk about all the guys that have no color coding. We're just going to talk about the guys that do. Because basically at that point, and Tumani Kamara at 107, you guys know I love me some Tumani Kamara. Santi Aldama, 108, Nick Claxton, 109, Tobias Harris, 110. Those guys are all fine in those spots. But from this point forward, I just want to talk about the guys that I color-coded because generally, like, you can just make your queue. Once your draft gets to about pick 100, just go through the whole board and put anybody you're even remotely interested in your queue, and then you can just operate exclusively off the queue. You don't even have to look at the board anymore. And that's what I've done here in this rank sheet, which, again, completely free. You guys can go get it. Is after pick 110 on this, most of the guys are not going to have any sort of shading. Before 110, you could see I color-coded almost every name. I had some feeling on them, mostly. But after 110, so let's just go from there. RJ Barrett at 111, I wouldn't touch him in almost any format. Even points league, I don't really want RJ Barrett, but you can. Any category league, no. Keegan Murray at 112. This is the one where I've sort of gone back on my rule, which is don't draft injured guys. And we passed over almost all the other injured guys to start the year, other than maybe like Domantas Sabonis or Jalen Williams. Keegan Murray is the one that I'm comfortable stashing because it's not a lower body injury. It's not a soft tissue injury. It's a hand injury. Guys tend to recover from those totally fine, very reliably, almost every single time. So I have no fears about what Keegan Murray is going to look like when he comes back. I think he's going to be excellent, and I think he'll be back within, I don't know, a couple of weeks. The goal was anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks after the season started. So assume it's 3, and maybe we get lucky. I think Keegan Murray is a top 75 guy this year. I think there's a chance he's a top 65 guy this year if the shot happens to be falling like it was his rookie season. Like if we have a good shooting year, Keegan Murray could actually be top 50. And you can get him because he's falling because of the injury. He's going at like 120. And the beauty part there it is, you take him at the end of the 10th round, beginning of the 11th round. I got him in the 11th round in a bunch of drafts. And that's fine. I have 10 guys healthy going into my year. Head-to-head, roto, whatever. This is an easy one for me. Roto, obviously, it's easy because, like, you don't have to start everybody every time. Head-to-head is where you're like, yeah, Dan, are you sure you want to sit on a guy? Like, you want to get off to the fast start? Yeah. I mean, even with one IL slot, make Keegan Murray the guy you put in your IL because he's going to be back soon. There isn't going to be the long ramp up of somebody coming off like a big critical injury. And I think he's going to be excellent this year. And you've got 10 starters already because he's not even going at 112. He's going later than that. In every draft I've done, he's gone later than 112. Every single one. Zach Edey is a similar issue, but he's not bright green. Keegan Murray is the guy I'm definitely stashing. Edey's I'm a little worried about. I think he's going to be really good this year, but you hate to think of a guy who's effectively, a quarter the size of Mount Rushmore, having multiple lower body surgeries all at once to stabilize things. And by all accounts, he's, on target and everything's going fine, but it does make me a little bit nervous. If you haven't done any sort of injury stashes to this point, that would be fine. Games cap roto, go ahead, take the plunge. Head-to-head, I think I'd be a little bit careful unless you had 3 IL slots. With Murray, I'll do it with 1. With Edey, I need more than 1. Why did I... This was a mismark. I don't know how Ace Bailey became red. Because he jumped from 156 to 116. That was a marker from me to me, just to say, Ace Bailey jumped 40 slots. He's going to put up big numbers, but he's a guy you should be drafting in points leagues, not category leagues. Bobby Portis, I like a medium amount at 117. I think he's going to be a top 90 fantasy play this year. Dante DiVincenzo, I like at 119, a medium amount. I think he's also going to be a top 90 fantasy play this year. Very different stat sets to get there. Portis is going to be points and boards, mostly on decent percentages. DiVincenzo is going to be threes and steals on not great percentages. Go figure. But again, I'm not really color coding anybody that I don't like at this point. I'm just color coding the guys that I would put in my queue. Although I will say that D'Angelo Russell ended up in a queue of mine at one point because it got to pick 135 and then someone took him right before me. That's where I would take D'Lo, is 12th round or beyond. The rest of these guys that I didn't color code, I'm really not even looking at them. I'm not really looking. I'll say their names just so you can hear it instead of jumping over these guys. Keontae George, he's a specific punt build guy only. Nikola Jovic, I know he might start the year as the 5th starter for the Heat, but he also might get yanked for Khalil Ware quickly. We'll see. Ace Bailey, we just talked about. Dennis Schroeder, I don't want anything to do with Schroeder. There's almost no way you could push him onto my team. Aaron Gordon is behind D'Lo at 121. He's not the punt guy anymore. He's stopped getting defensive stats. But if you think he goes back to the old Aaron Gordon, you could take him if you're in a punt free throw build. That was the old Aaron Gordon. I honestly don't know what the hell the new Aaron Gordon is. Jaden McDaniels is just do you need a top 115 guy all year? Because if somebody gets hurt, that's how he gets better. But otherwise, he's right near the stream zone. But he'll be there, and he might be a 1-1-1 guy. So Stephon Castle, 123. That's more of a points league play. PJ Washington at 124. I'll take him with my last pick if all my other guys are gone. Herb Jones at 125 is a guy that I have put in my queue regularly. I think he's going to be inside the top 100 this year. You can get him later than that. Brandon Pajemski, I like him a little bit less these days. His preseason was a little ugly, but I do think he's going to be the 5th starter for the Warriors, so I would put him in your queue as well. Ayo Dosunmu might be your fill-in guy with Kobe White set to miss the first couple weeks of the year. We'll see, but I'm not going to pick him up until I learn more. Keyshawn George, he's like a 4th-tier flyer for me, so maybe I should have made him light green, but I like these other light green guys more. So I almost needed another flavor of green. Jonathan Kuminga, no. Malik Monk, no. Jabari Smith Jr., I think he's your last. I mean, he's starting, so go ahead. He can be your last pick. Aaron Nesmith, maybe consider the color coding here. Medium green means not your last pick, and light green means your last pick. Does that level out? Yeah, it actually does so far for the guys after 110. What did I do after this? Chris Paul, Isaiah Collier, Davion Mitchell, DeAndre Hunter, Jalen Wells, Colin Sexton, Quentin Grimes, Grayson Allen. I need to change a couple of color codes in here. I would take Davion Mitchell, Colin Sexton, Quentin Grimes, and Grayson Allen with my last pick. Grayson Allen being more a burger What flavor should, I don't know what color a burger should be. Probably brown? Light orange? There, burger name. What did I do with Desunmu? He might be a burger. Cason Wallace is a medium green. He's a guy I would take over these other guys. Dylan Harper, DeJounte Murray, Nikhil Alexander-Walker, Eve Missy, Wendell Carter Jr. No. Isaiah Jackson, Namish Keita. Those guys are light green. So, yeah, go ahead and take them at the end. Maybe even a little bit before that. Let's go. I may have screwed up the greens. Now we are at 150, and we're at a point where I don't even know if I color-coded anybody else. Yeah, there's a few guys later on, but mostly there's just nobody in here. Like, I'm not even going to read their names. You guys don't need me to read 35 names in a row. But just scrolling down, other names I looked at, Taylor Hendricks towards the end of the draft, Cam Whitmore towards the end of a draft, Sam Hauser at the end of a draft, and that's as far as I went because I didn't think it was necessary after that. Kelly Oubre fell off my board because Joel Embiid came back. Didn't expect that one. And that is your lightning round edition of every player I've looked at in fantasy leagues that I've drafted in at least over the last 3 days. I thought that might be an interesting way to sort of finish up the preseason. A reminder here as we get towards the end of this very last preseason show, because after this, I'm going to stop recording and then I'm going to start recording immediately again. And we're going to do our first in-season episode, which is going to be the very first weekly lineup edition here on Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball. So please subscribe so you'll get an alert when that one comes out. But I just wanted to take a second here to, in addition to saying, please subscribe and find me on social media at Dan Vespris. Thank you. This has been amazing. The YouTube continues to grow at a rate that I could not have possibly imagined in my wildest dreams. On top of that, like I mentioned, like I looked at the podcast download numbers while I was talking on this show, and something that I was worried about ended up not happening, which was I worried that if I put out so many episodes, and we put out more episodes this draft run-up season than I've ever done before, that it might knock the listenership down because people are just like, I can't listen to this many episodes. And instead of the top 10 most downloaded episodes of Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball, I'm looking at the traditional pod side, 8 of them have come from this season's run-up. And the only 2 that weren't were last year's My Buckets. So the Dan Vespris 150 last year is still the 3rd most downloaded episode. By the way, I'm assuming that right now this year's Buckets episode, which I only dropped like 2 days ago, is like 80 downloads behind that other one and seemingly will pass it. And the other one from last year was the Friday episode from week 1 of the season. So basically like the big, here's everything you needed to know from week 1. And we haven't done that one yet this year. So that'll probably push that one somewhere off the board. So this has been an amazing time. By all accounts, the downloads on the podcast side are up anywhere from 10 to 25% on YouTube. We had our biggest single episode this draft season run up. Everything is growing. The Twitter's growing, and you guys are responsible for that. That's the main point. I can't believe that this is a thing I get to do. Thank you guys for watching. Every time you watch a show or listen to a show, it helps me get to my goal of being able to do this forever. And to you podcast listeners, there should be a new advertisement that pops up as a visual ad that suggests another show you might like. If you guys really want to do me a big favor, click on that ad to go listen to like the first 20 seconds of some other show, because that makes my show look amazing to these banner ad people. I have no way of tracking it, but like if a lot of you click on it and listen to a minute or 2 of some random show you probably don't care about, then that will actually pay me a nice chunk of cash, I'm told. So other things that you can do to fund to load coal into the thing, into the steam engine or whatever I'm doing here. It's not a steam engine, maybe a coal engine. That don't require a $1 Patreon is your clicks, your time, your ears, your eyes instead, which is what I'm trying to do with my childcare. I'm Dan Vespris. Thanks so much for an incredible preseason. I hope you guys did great in your drafts. We'll refer back to all this stuff as we go all season long. Find me on social because the first tweet storm of the year is coming tonight. after the 2 games are over. DANBESBRIS. Everything you need is in the show description, and I will see you guys very soon with the first weekly lineup edition of the year. So long for now.